tossing journey to find the way home. And I think we need each other. Why don't you take my hand and let's walk together? Take my hand and try. It's a long road, we can walk it together. Take my hand and try.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Life Now. I'm your host, Marty Carroll, with my wife and host, Michelle. How are you this evening?
Wonderful.
Wonderful, as always. We hope you guys are having a great day whenever you may be seeing this. Life Now, a program about just dealing with things of life, everyday stuff that can get next to us and kind of cause some stress or some anxieties in life. Everybody deals with something, and so we just hopefully we can offer some insights, some words of encouragement, some hope to you that you can get through it, no matter what it is. God has an answer, and he can provide it for you, and we'll get you through whatever you are going through. Invite you to check out other episodes of Life Now. We have our own YouTube channel now. Thanks to Mr. Jimmy Pett Miller. So grateful for his work. So that can be found on YouTube. Just type in the search Life Now or Marty Carroll. Should pull that up for you. Also have a Facebook page. It's called Blind Sighted, where I just put up some thoughts, inspirational ideas each day, and also putting the episodes of the show on there as well, so you can check that out. So we would really love to hear from you, and hopefully these resources are sources of encouragement and hope for you in whatever you may be dealing with. So again, grateful for you guys joining us. So wonderful to run into people, in the community that have seen the show. We just about everywhere we go, especially over in the Bastrop area. We were just in the Piccadilly the other night, and one of the hostesses over there came up to us and thanked us and said it was a real source of encouragement for her, and just very grateful for this opportunity. So really good to talk to those folks and get input. So if you ever see us out and about and you got some ideas about what you might want us to do a show about, please feel free to let us know. We would love to address anything that might be going on that would be helpful to you. So tonight, I don't know, this may be kind of a different kind of show, but I want to talk about some aspects of relationships that are going on, and it's a very subtle scheme of the enemy. It's something that really people fall under the control of this thing in these relationships, and they really don't know what they're dealing with. And we have had the opportunity to work with a number of young ladies, especially, that are in some of these relationships, and God has just shed light on this thing and helped us just pull the curtain on the enemy to expose what's going on. And it's something that really needs a lot of attention. So we're going to kind of try to talk about that a little bit tonight. And the idea, the concept behind it is narcissism. And narcissism is a psychological disorder, but it's also a spiritual issue. And basically, kind of the elements of it is someone that's very self-centered. Everything in life revolves around them. They blame everybody else for everything that goes on in their life. They're always pointing the finger. They never take responsibility for what they've done. They use an awful lot of manipulation, emotional manipulation, to make you feel sorry for them, to bring about this sense of pity, to get you to do things for them all the time.
Or to guilt.
Or to guilt you,
they use
that's
a
right.
lot of manipulation to guilt you into doing things.
Right. Guilt is a big hallmark of this. Now, you hear some of these characteristics, and you may know somebody that does one or two of the, don't jump too quickly, because you see some of these characteristics in a lot of different types of personalities. But in this narcissistic personality, you see all of this. They use intimidation. They'll use their anger. A lot of intimidation to control. Again, the emotional manipulation, the guilting, the shaming of you. They'll make you feel crazy. When you try to confront them about something that is normal. You know, that in a normal relationship, this would not be taking place and it needs to be addressed.
Or even in a normal relationship, things that you would be able to talk about, that you
Right.
could go to your partner and sit down and have a conversation about. They don't allow that because they don't want to talk about them.
That's right.
Nothing is ever their fault.
Right.
Ever.
They tell you you're crazy for bringing it up. You don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
There's a lot of devaluing going on.
Lots
a lot of
devaluing.
Yeah, a lot of invalidating.
Tearing down.
Right.
Just really tearing you down.
Absolutely.
And then just when you get to the point where you feel like you can't take anymore, then they play that game where they start buying you things and building you up with their words and their deeds. And but there's really nothing to it, because as soon as they've bought you something or done something nice for you, then they turn right around and go back to the manipulation, the
That's right.
games.
All of that is just an effort to bring you back in just close enough to where they can exert that control over you again. There is no intention of changing. There's no intention of doing anything any different. They say what they need to say that gets to your heart. They know how to play your heartstrings.
Absolutely.
And they know what gifts to buy. They know what things to do. And on the surface, it looks, oh, this is wonderful. Oh, this is love.
I think for some of the women that I've counseled with, the most deceptive part of the lie is they think that they've found their soulmate, because what these people tend to do is when they find someone, they begin to ask them questions all about themselves, and without even realizing it, the person will begin to tell their life story.
Right.
And so what the abuser is doing is learning everything about you, because he fully, or she, because we've dealt with some female narcissists, they're fully intending to use these things against you later on.
In the beginning, you'll think, oh, he's or she's interested in me.
Yes.
Oh, they want to know about me.
And
That's
you're
a nice,
right.
refreshing.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
They want to know everything about you.
But not because they care.
But not because they love you or they care.
Right.
It's because they're going to turn around and use that to manipulate you. And the crazy thing is, just about every single person that we've worked with, they will say, I hardly know this person. I really don't know anything about them. I don't know their past. I don't know, because they really won't talk about themselves. So that's another characteristic of, they do like to talk about themselves as far as what they can do. They usually brag about things like, I can read people. I'm
Skill
really
set,
good.
these
Yes.
little talents, if you will.
They'll make comments of, I'm really good at reading people, and they're right. They are. They're really good at reading people. That's because they do that. That's how they're successful in finding their next victim.
Well, they have a very keen sense of how to find someone with these emotional deficits.
Yes.
They know how to pick, they start talking to somebody and they know what to look for and how to pick someone out who obviously needs some attention or needs some affection or some love, or just has that woundedness about them that they can prey on.
Don't make the mistake of thinking that it's only people who are seeking attention or affection that get sucked in by these people, because it's not.
Right.
We've worked with people that, unfortunately, in our society today, there's so many people who've gone through divorces, and divorce is so painful. I mean, to me, divorce is worse than a death. And anyone who's ever gone through a divorce knows what I'm talking about. And, just that in and of itself can cause enough pain, and you're left feeling emotionally drained, and so that can leave you vulnerable.
Yeah, just a weakness,
Yes.
just weariness.
You're
maybe
just
a
in
better
a
word.
place in life where, maybe you've gone through hurt through family, you've gone hurt through divorce, or you've lost a loved one. These people prey on people who have gone through emotional circumstances of life. Those are the ones that they tend to draw towards, gravitate to, and they use you up. I mean, use you up until there's nothing left.
Right. But We find people that keep hanging on and hanging on. Oh, it's going to change, or this is what love does. It becomes a real twisted idea or concept about what love truly is, and you find yourself operating in such a way that continues to feed, that monster, but you're doing it with the right intention in your heart. And that's where that really becomes a very difficult thing, because you're trying to do the right thing, and you have a good heart, and your intentions are right, but the person that's in that relationship with you doesn't have the right intention, and is using up the good that you're trying to operate
Well, my favorite saying is, they're using your love against you.
Right. That's yes. Yes. That is so true, because they feed off of that.
Yes.
They absolutely feed off of what you give them.
Yes.
And so, we've seen a lot of relationships like this. Oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes in addiction, you see the narcissism come out, because in addiction, that's the center of their world, and getting what they want becomes the center of their world, and they will stop at nothing to get what they want, and that is the same. That's a narcissistic mentality, where their needs, what they want, becomes central to their life, and everything else revolves around that, and they live in such a way to achieve that.
And again, unfortunately, our society, there's not a family that I know of that doesn't have someone in their family or know of someone close to their family that is dealing with an addiction problem. So when I make this statement, you're going to understand, when he talks about, for someone who has an addiction, their whole world becomes revolved around getting their next fix. And it's all about them, and they don't care who they hurt or what they have to do to get that next fix. Some addicts go as far as stealing from their own family. They lie to their loved ones. They disappear. And these are all the same characteristics that you're going to see in this narcissistic relationship. So I'm just trying to give you a frame of reference of, if you're in one of these relationships where, you're hearing us talking, you're sitting there going, oh my goodness. Have you read my diary? Well, I mean, what?
Right.
Because a lot of times, and this is something that we really want people to understand, their behavior is so predictable.
Oh, yeah.
When we begin working with people who are victims of these types of relationships, I can sit down with someone and I can begin to say, okay, you're experiencing this, and this person is doing this, and then when this happens, they do this, and then when this happens, they do this. And that person will sit there with her and go, how do you know that?
Right.
Like really, have you been reading my diary? I mean, how do you know that? And it's just simply because their patterns of behavior are very predictable, and this is worldwide.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter their socioeconomic background, cultural, racial, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Their patterns of behavior are the same.
Right. And you like to bring it down, so a real, like a life application kind of scenario of this would be, say you've got somebody in your family that is struggling with addiction, okay? And they do something, say they take something from your house, and you confront them because you know they did it. You confront them, and they immediately go into this rage, this anger, that how dare you accuse me of doing that? I didn't do that. You're crazy, and just go off on this anger with the intent that anger is intended to back you down.
Or how could you accuse me of such a thing? You don't really love me. If you loved me, you wouldn't accuse me of those things.
You don't believe in me.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you hear those types of conversations. And most of the time, what we do, the mistake we make, is we buy into that argument. We begin to say, well, yes, I do love you.
Right. Well, we do exactly what they want us to do. We start feeling sorry for them.
That's right.
We start feeling sorry for, and then we start making excuses for them, which is exactly what they want us to do.
They also want you. Anybody been there? Hands up. Hands up. Everybody been there? It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And so, that's just kind of a scenario. So what, the changes that people can make. Say you have that scenario crop up, you don't feed into what they're throwing out, because they're real good about deflecting. They're going to throw all kind of things out there that have nothing to do with what you're confronting them about.
Exactly.
They hate being confronted, so they want to throw you off the trail. Say stuff intended to hurt you, to get your mind off of what they actually did. So the trick there is to not buy into it. To not, I like to say, take the bait.
And that's hard, because when you're in a relationship, whether it's a parent and child or it's a relationship, an intimate relationship, when your partner begins to say mean and hateful things to you that cut you to the bone, I mean, they hurt. And so when we're dealing with people in counseling that are in these type relationships, and that's a whole other animal that we have to walk through.
It really is.
Because words are damaging.
Yep.
We tend to, as humans, we tend to hold on to those negative words, and we begin to believe them. They get in our heart, and then because they're in our heart, then they become beliefs, and because they're beliefs, then we begin acting upon those beliefs.
Right. Truth of the matter is, the old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me.
It's not true.
That's not true.
No.
Sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will break your heart.
Absolutely. It breaks your spirit.
That's right. That's right. Those get in there, and that's what it is intended to do. Make no mistake. Because they know if they can get you on your heels or get you feeling sorry for them.
Or just wounded,
wounded.
hurt.
Right.
A lot of times, we hear horrific stories of the lengths that a narcissist will go to. Sometimes it's not words, it's their actions. Sometimes they just disappear on you. If you find yourself in a relationship where they disappear for days at a time, they won't return phone calls, you can't get them to answer the phone. It's this passive-aggressive thing that they do, where they bring you in real close and then they push you way out, and they leave you there for days, and your mind is just, you literally feel like you're losing your mind at times. Is the way most people describe this, is you just feel like you're losing your mind.
Well, and because in this process, they've done a really good job of isolating you from your closest friends, your family. They really contribute to the disconnection of relationship, because they want you isolated. They want you by yourself, and that way they can control the situation a whole lot more. And that's a sad situation, because we were designed to be in relationship, and so you've got someone in your life trying to get you to disconnect from those who are closest to you, and healthy relationships. Red flag. Really need to pay attention to that. But they will. They'll isolate, and all this is an effort to tear you down, as you talked about, to tear you down, to tear away your value, the what you think about yourself, because through
self-worth.
Because through actions like that, the beliefs that begin to come into your mind, and I know a lot of you will identify with this. Well, I must deserve this, or I'm not worthy. I must be broken. I can't be fixed. I'm not worth loving. That's a big one we hear. And those are all lies that get into our mind, because you begin to meditate. I say meditate, but you begin to think about these things, and they build the strongholds of perversion, because that's twisted. That is not truth.
And a lot of people, if you've been through a breakup or a divorce, some people even believe the lie, well, this is the best thing that's going to happen to me, and so they'll hold on to that person because they truly believe that, this is the best that they can do. And it's not true.
No, it's not.
It's absolutely not true.
And here's the twisted part of it, and here's where the enemy comes in and really twists this idea. Kind of going back to the idea that you're doing all this stuff out of love, or you're doing it out of a good intentioned heart. You know what? That's not love.
No.
You're not living out of love at this point. Now you're living out of fear. Fear of losing this person. Fear of, people are going to think I'm a bad person. Fear of, what will other people think? I'll never be able to get anybody else. That's not love.
No.
That's not love. The scripture is real clear. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love keeps no record of wrong. Love celebrates good things. He rejoices in the truth, hopes all things, believes all things, bears all things. You know, and there's a number of other things. So you can take that yardstick and put it up against your relationships and go, is this really love?
You know, that's really good advice, because that's usually one of the first things that I do with someone who comes in and begins to speak to me about relationship issues. And if, as they begin to describe the relationship, if I think that they're in a narcissistic relationship, I will ask them, I will get the Bible out and turn to Matthew, and I'll read those scriptures. Love is patient, love is kind, love is long-suffering, all of those things. And then I'll turn to that person and say, is this what that person is showing you? And without exception is,
No.
no, that's not what
No.
I see at all.
No.
And they will start naming the exact opposite of all of those things. And then my next question is, well, if this is what the Bible tells us love looks like, and you're telling me that this is what love looks like in your world, what you going to do about that?
You got two different worlds in conflict here.
Right,
Yeah. So what are you going to do?
right.
What are you going to do? What is love? And that's usually when we tell them, and this is the name of one of the books that we highly recommend, it's When Love Becomes a Lie. And you realize, wait a minute, what I'm doing is not truly love, and what that person is doing is
not.
really not love. So somewhere we've got off track here. And you know, the behavior of the narcissist is actually, you know, in psychological terms, it becomes quite psychopathic. It's some very psychopathic behavior that's designed to, first of all, meet their needs. You know, bottom line, this is about meeting my needs and getting what I want, and then the control and the power, you know, those aspects that go along with it, doing anything at any cost to make that happen. But again, it comes across so subtle sometimes. So subtle. We highly recommend the book. There's a book out there called Psychopath Free that we would recommend you check out. And the beauty of this book is it's not a doctor. It's not a psychologist. They're not counselors like ourselves. They're not MDs. They're not anything like. It's just a person who went through this enough that began to write about it. And so it's written in such a real, raw way.
Well, it's written from experience.
Right. You
it's
get
written
it.
from the voice of experience.
Yeah.
And so it's, it's a very good read. It's a very good, even if you're not in a narcissistic relationship, it's just a good read.
Yeah, it's worth checking out.
Yeah.
The introduction will have you in tears,
Yes.
especially if you're involved or connected to a relationship like that. The introduction of the book will have you in tears.
Yeah.
And the author of that, Mackenzie, is that author's name. So you may want to check that out. And there's another one we talked about, When Love Becomes a Lie, just kind of a continuation of that, on that theme of narcissism and trying to understand what real love is and what a true healthy relationship looks like. Because the scripture is real clear about what healthy people look like. And we may do a whole show on that. Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend did a lot of work on that and put together a wonderful book called Safe People that goes through and talks about the characteristics of the kind of people that you want to be around. But in these relationships that we're talking about, it's so subtle in the beginning, and it can look like any other relationship, but there's certain things that you have to begin to look for, such as the controlling and the isolating, and when they start throwing that pity party and want you to get on board with it. You kind of go, okay, wait a minute, we need to look at this.
Well, for
Something's not
most
happening.
people, though, most of the people that we've counseled with, they describe a state of confusion. They just stay confused all the time, and it's like we hear all the time, we just can't get a read on this person. Just when we think we know them, they change, and it is a cycle of abuse. And you can actually, a lot of times when you start getting that person to talk about it, then they start realizing the cycle, and they then can begin to predict the next thing that they're going to do or say. But
it's like the curtain being pulled, and they begin to see it in a
yeah,
completely different light now.
yeah.
Yeah, they gain that insight and understanding.
But
to
the
go,
devastation that comes with it, I mean, it's,
Mhm.
I don't, to me, that's the hardest thing to see people suffer
Yeah.
like they do.
Even in the healing process, it's like all of a sudden they begin to have the insight, but then they become, I don't know, it's like they become more aware of the pain, maybe, because
Yes.
they've been struggling and they haven't known what they've been struggling with.
Yes. And it's like when we start giving them the words,
Right.
and then 9 times out of 10 we hear, oh, I feel stupid. I feel, how could I let somebody do that to me? How did I not see that? How did I not understand what was going on?
Right.
And again, this is what I love to tell people, is that because they keep so much commotion and confusion going on,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's hard for you to dig through and get down to the heart of the matter and the truth of the matter, because they keep throwing things of insignificance in there that keeps you so off center. And so, you know, I think for me that's the hardest part, is watching, you know, when they do start realizing, oh my goodness, and you start putting words to what they're feeling and what's going on,
Right.
and then they go through that almost like a grieving process of,
It actually is.
you know, oh my goodness, how did I fall for that? I feel stupid, I feel dumb, and, you know, what's wrong with me? And so then we have to work through that.
And it's very difficult to break the chains of that, even when you have the insight. Excuse me. Even when you have the insight, the understanding, the light's been, you know, you have the light on the situation now. Oh, it's so difficult to break free. It is so, but you know, we begin to talk with them, and even they begin to speak that language of freedom, and begin to understand what real love, what true love really is, and how to live with it, how to give it, how to receive it. It's a wrestling match.
The most important
really
thing is that we want you to walk away with is that if you've watched this show, you find yourself in this position, call us.
Yes.
Because it's very important to have someone that you can talk to, someone that's going to give you godly advice. We just give scripture, and then we pray.
Right. Right. Talk about, you know, what you're experiencing, identify with you, and then give you some tools. But again, it's only knowledge until you do something with it.
Right.
It becomes wisdom when you apply it.
That's right.
Information is just knowledge until you apply it. That's when it becomes wisdom.
Absolutely.
And so we want to help you do that. So thank you for joining us for Life Now. If we can be of service, give us a call, and we'll see you next time.
Why don't you take my